man. You know, when I started doing this YouTube stuff, I just wanted to give my opinion on things and do a little research, because sometimes my opinion varies and differs from a lot of other people I didn't see. But went doing research with some stuff, especially this whole entire Diddy and Ali Carter situation. But things got really dark really quickly. Now, I forgot who Ali Carter was. I remember seeing a video about her years ago. It was around the time close to when Jaguar Wright was first coming out with accusations about Diddy and Jay-Z and all these other people in the music industry. And at the time, it seemed like it was very crazy. And let's just admit it, at the time, like Orlando Brown, Jaguar Wright, now Ali Carter, when they were seeing all this stuff back in 2018, 19, etc., we just thought they were bored, looking for attention for the most part. And maybe they were scoring scenes of things and blowing it out of proportion because they had a mental break. Never mind the fact that not everybody handles trauma the same. Now, as time goes on, we start to see that Jaguar Wright was correct about a lot of stuff. She was right. Orlando Brown, I wish I would have put the clip in here on this live and grabbed it, where he talked about, Diddy's not worried about your woman. He wants you instead. I mean, and people thought he was crazy. But again, the more stuff that he says, if you listen to it as time goes on, it appears to be true. And the same thing with Kanye West. Now Kanye West all of a sudden is being seen as a hero because supposedly he has helped save Taylor Swift from Jay-Z and Beyonce. He predicted a lot of stuff and, called Diddy the Fed and all this other kind of stuff. These people who made these accusations that people thought were crazy for the longest time are turning out to be very correct. Now, before I show on the video about Ali Carter and her talking about her experience surviving a Diddy party, I want to get into how Diddy has mastered the art of intimidation, and he did it to Wendy Williams on her own show.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Who I met backstage, he
did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
You represent a lot.
Now you see, Wendy was very shook right there. And intimidation is not always having the biggest, the muscles, and the most mean stare. It's knowing certain things. Like, for example, and these are the few things that I have picked up over the years when it comes to the art of intimidation. Always trying to look good and appropriate when you're out in public, especially. Now, whenever you see Diddy out in public, the majority of the time, he always looks like he's well-groomed and put together, except for recently when he was getting ready to be arrested. But for the most part, you always see him in a nice suit, designer clothes. Always, even when he's partying, he always looks well-dressed and sharp, like they used to say back in the day. Knowing when to talk. He waited for Wendy to talk before he even said, I met your son behind stage. And giving Wendy's and P. Diddy's history, and if you don't know it, just look it up. He tried to run her out of New York, essentially, even after she tried to help him. That can be pretty intimidating, especially with all the stuff she knows about him in the industry. You got to think about it. Wendy was exposing secrets before anybody else was aware. And I'm starting to think that, all this stuff that's happening to her now is because she knows too much. Eye contact. He always kept eye contact with her, and never mind the power of a stare. Sometimes eye contact could turn into a stare that could intimidate somebody, and he was doing that in that instance too. And knowing when to smile. During that time when she noticed that she was starting to get flustered a little bit, he definitely made her intimidate in that moment, and he was smiling. It's things like that that you can pick up with people when it comes to knowing how to intimidate somebody. Now, when it comes to Ali Carter, now she came out with let me get that pulled up right quick. I thought I had it in here. Give me one moment. Now, she came up with an affidavit of truth, right? Supposedly it was signed by her. Now, these are the people she accused that was pretty much at the parties, right? Brian Christopher Williams, aka Birdman. Birdman has done a lot of egregious stuff, and we've seen a lot of stuff that we seen out on TV and the music videos and the blogs, the paparazzi, etc. I'm pretty sure it's a lot more behind the scenes that we don't know about. This one surprised me the most was Denzel Hayes Washington. What? I don't know. All right, and then see Sean Love Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P Diddy, aka Diddy, and then Young Jock, right? And then it gets into one of the parties there. The Playboy Mansion after party held in Simi Valley around 2009-2010 while I was in foster care. Allison Carter, previously known as Blank, I guess that was her name back then, outlaw arrest under oath the following account of my and other alter parts, personal experience, and true account to the best of my knowledge regarding the Playboy Mansion after party attended by Birdman, Denzel, Diddy, Young Jock. My date of birth is February 15th, 1994. Now, I'm not going to put the affidavit in this live or when I re-upload it to the internet on YouTube, just for the fact that it had a lot of graphic stuff in there. But this will give us a summary of what was in there. And in fact, let me say this. Some of the stuff, this affidavit, it was signed before a lot of things started coming out, right? She talked about cake girls and how they were laid down in their birthday suit and people would eat off them, which isn't uncommon in those fancy rich parties. The only problem was that she was underage when that was happening to her and other girls, right? And there's pictures now that came out at Diddy's parties. I don't know how they got a picture. I would think if you were having that type of a party, you would take away everybody's cell phones and cameras. But a picture of Diddy eating off a woman. I'm assuming it was a woman. It's on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of stuff on Twitter or X that's quite disturbing when you go down a rabbit hole of looking into this whole entire Ali Carter and Diddy situation. In fact, a lot of people are using Ali Carter's name now to expose other things that are going on with other children that may have been taken over the years. And this be warned, if you do go to X or Twitter to research Ali Carter and her accusations, and you see some of those pictures that are allegedly with Diddy and around Diddy, it's disturbing. I can understand why she seems kind of off sometimes and why she just looks broken through her eyes. Back to what was else in there. The other thing I read through her affidavit of truth was talking about essentially donkey shows. I'm not going to get into what a donkey show is here. You have Google, you have the internet, you can look at what a donkey show is. Apparently these same underage girls who were the cake girls had to do donkey shows too, crazy stuff like that. And there was a bunch of humiliation stuff going on in there. It was very sad. And again, if you just look up Ali Carter, you'll see videos of her stretching for about 5 or 6 years at least, talking about this and dating other famous people about the parties that she was trafficked to when she was underage, and how CPS allegedly helped do that, and how they pretended to be FBI agents to keep track of the girls. It seemed like there was a network and no way to escape because it was that well organized and funded. And it kind of makes you wonder who was at the top of it. And now, at first, one of the videos I saw of her, I was like, well, how come she doesn't say any names? But there are plenty of other videos out there where she mentions other people's names in there that has a squeaky clean image that you would never imagine. Like I said, again, Denzel Washington, that seemed like a complete offshoot. I'm still surprised about that one. Only because Denzel Washington is one of the few black actors you see that has no problems. He's always been very supportive, very pro-black. And I just don't see him being at a party and he's seeing that and not trying to do something about it. You know what I mean? He gives off that kind of character. Now, you can sit here and say you don't know people behind closed doors, which is very true. And maybe because I have a soft spot because he helped Chadwick Boseman get through college and that brought his Black Panther and all this other kind of stuff. But it's just the fact when I saw the whole entire Denzel thing, I was like, man, not him too. I hope that part is not true. Because I would think that, let's be real here, if you got invited to a Diddy party, you'll most likely go. Before all this stuff happened and came out, you'll most likely go to a Diddy party. so you could be around people who are in your tax brackets. You don't got to worry about people trying to mooch off of you, use you. You just can sit there and enjoy yourself and have a good time. So I would think that if things started getting weird and you saw something like, oh no, I don't need to be a part of this, I need to go, I would think Denzel would be the one that'd be like, okay, y'all do you, I'm out, bye. Kind of like how Marlon Wayne said, he said he's been in playing Diddy parties, but he leaves around 12. He doesn't stay for the after party where all the crazy stuff goes down. But let me go ahead and play this Audi Carter video, and I'll give my further thoughts after the fact. And I also edited a lot of stuff that was said out. I bleeped a lot of stuff out because I wanted this to remain on YouTube, because I do want her story to get more exposed out there.
Diddy parties. Those are assault parties, and I was one of the kids that was one of the party favors. And a party favors means that you're set on top of a table and you're used as a toy for anybody who comes across the table or who wants to party at a certain time of night. When the music stops and then the DJ starts flashing all these lights and they close the doors, and then everybody turns into like a frenzy and starts going into a crazed animal-like demonic state, and you have no idea what's going on. And yes, there was a time where I was just like completely don't give a shit because it happened, and I was the type of kid that thought that, you know, you're in the presence of royalty and they make it seem like you're in the presence of Hollywood, so you should be honored and you should be appreciating that you're there. And I was that person. I totally acted like that. I was like, oh, it's fine, you know, it really doesn't matter. But then it really did matter when my pimp was like, he had rules. He had lots of rules, and it was more money. And if you know the difference between a pimp, a John, and a trafficker, the trafficker is the supplier, but the pimp is collecting the money and the John is doing the buying. So if the pimp is saying that Full House, actual full-blown is it, by the way, kids, don't watch this. Goodbye. I love you. Goodbye. If you found my stuff, get off right now. This is the moment where I'm telling you I'm angry. I forgot to put that reminder in the beginning. Okay, cool. Goodbye. What was I saying? Thank you. If the pimp paid for if there's rules to Full House, and there's rules to anal, and there's rules to all kind of different jobs. Okay, so at a certain point, I was not brought or traded for, but that didn't matter to a few celebrities that were there. It's not just celebrities, there's a lot of different people. They called it an all-black party, but it was mainly because a lot of the party favors were black kids. I was in the care of Riverside County Child Protective Services at the time. I was 15, barely 16. 15, 16. It's foggy. A lot happened that night, and I went really numb. And if there's videos or if there's anything that could go from that, then pull them, because we all know that there's so many cameras around. So I can try to post the affidavits and I can put out what happened, but at the same time, what am I supposed to do when nobody's really asking about the kids that are present in these parties now and were then, because they're really just going after all the celebrities and the adults, which I'm happy that we're finally here, and I'm grateful that we're finally pulling the names that need to be pulled and the big fishes that need to be pulled. But at the same time, nobody's asking about the kids and who else is really there. And no, it's just not about all these dudes. They need people to fluff them, which are and those are the kids and the people on the party favors desk. And then on top of that, there's this big ass wheel, and they make it like a carnival thing, and they literally strap you to a wheel and spin it. And then after a certain time, animals, and then after a certain time, you have no idea what's happening because you're numb. And if you throw up like I did, then your face is going to be rubbed in and you're going to have to eat it. And then people look at that as a sick fetish too. Blood is a fetish. Throw up is a fetish. Is a fetish. So, I have DID, and I went numb after a while. There's a reason for all of my splits, but I just went numb after a minute. And there's times where I just checked out, you can check out for a few hours while somebody is messing with you. It exists, because if you start fighting them back, then you're gonna suffocate, or it's gonna hurt worse. So well, for me personally, I checked out. That's how I'm still sitting here. So yeah. And that's not the only thing, because after so many hours of dealing with people assaulting you, after so many hours of that, then if you're still okay, then they just make you go to another job like I did. So then you're just transported through the tunnels. Yeah. You don't live in the world you think you do. And there are videos, and I'm sure there's so much of this, and everybody is seeing slowly come out, but nobody's talking about the kids. I don't want to open my phone and realize that somebody posted a video of me as a child, and there was times where, because I was on so much ecstasy and so much drugs, that I was laughing because I wanted people to think that I was okay, so they didn't kill me. So there are things that would come out that people would assume, like, oh, everything is fine, they're fine. No, I was 15, 16. I was a kid, and there were kids younger than me, and there are still kids younger than me, and CPS supplies a lot of these children. Let's just not be around the bush about this. CPS supplies a lot of these kids because they don't look for them. They don't care. You're runaways. You're AWOLs. No one gives a shit. So I'm happy we're on this subject, and I hope that we continue, because I'm still trying. I'm still here. I still give a shit, even though I kind of checked out for a little bit and it looked like I did it. And yeah, as a dance choreographer that was being fake and acting like, and it doesn't bother me. It does. It always does. I can't sleep. So yeah. You will never, I don't want to be anybody's puppet anymore. So I'm there in so many ways. So yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So, and again, she has a lot more interviews and videos or talking about her situation and what happened. You can go on TikTok, you can find them on YouTube, you can even find them on X. But that was her most recent one that she posted last week, because today is Monday. So my thoughts about this, just to make it a little personal, I once knew a woman and that was trafficked, right? And when I first met her, she wasn't trafficked at all. What ended up happening was me and her dated for a while. We didn't work out, but we still remained cool after that point. And then one day, all of a sudden, she told me she was going to move to Mississippi in Gulfport. And I was like, okay, all right, bye. So I'm laughing because in hindsight, maybe I should have voiced more of a concern, but what she ended up telling me was that she met a guy through a friend, and she was going to living with them out there because she didn't have too much family here anymore. And both her parents passed, and her brother was married, so she didn't have a reason to stay. And I was just like, okay, well, cool, have a good life out there, whatever. Where our paths ended up crossing, like, again, a year or so later, She was back in town. Strictly by coincidence, I met her at the gas station. And while I was getting gas, and I saw her there, and we said, hey, we exchanged numbers and started talking again. And then she told me what happened, how the girl she met was, I'm not sure the right term for it, but she was pretty much a recruiter for other girls to that guy, because he was essentially the pimp. She said the way that the girl lured her in was like she was dressed very nice. Her friend was dressed very, very nice. You know, nails done, hair done, very nice car. She was talking about this man took care of her, and she was telling me how this man essentially did at first, but ended up making her do other stuff with other people, and that's how she got into our lifestyle. But eventually she left because she was telling me he would end up always rugging her, giving her rugs, to keep her in control and submissive, and always wanted her to come back. And I was like, man, that's really sucks. And she was telling me a lot of like kind of outrageous stuff that happened, and with a lot of people who were very well known. I didn't necessarily believe at the time. I was like, all right, whatever. I can't prove or disprove it. You know, Gulfport, Mississippi does have a major casino, so it's not impossible for her to meet a lot of famous people, rich people there, right? So eventually, after that point, I remember one night she asked me to come pick her up. She had a friend drop her off because she was doing a drop, because she was still doing the S work, but on her own apparently, and she needed a ride back. I was like, it's late, I'm tired, I don't want to do it. Because she called me on like 2 a.m, I think. And she was like, look, I'll pay you like $100 in gas money. Just please come get me. I really need your help. Just please come get me. And when she said, and then I started to wake up and realized she started sounding kind of desperate. So I was like, yeah, I'll just be there. So I drove, it was like an hour or so drive to her. And when I got her, she just looked very, very depressed and sad. And I was just like, so what's going on? What happened? And she was like, well, I don't want to talk about it, but I made $10,000 in one night. And she opened up her bag and showed a bunch of money. And I was like, I looked at her crazy. I was like, how'd you make $10,000 in one night? Well, again, she didn't want to talk about it. She got quiet. I drove her home. And then after that point, that's when her mental break started to come, because she kind of gave me clips of what happened that night, kind of just like telling little bits and pieces of it. And I was just like, whoa. Now, I'm not going to get into the details here, but whenever women normally do get trafficked, and then they never really fully escape it. And even though I said earlier she was doing it on her own, the client she met that night was an associate of the man from Mississippi. So who knows what really happened that night? I don't know the full backstory. I just know after that night, she was never the same again. And then her mental decline became greater and greater, to the point that, you know, she just kind of disappeared. And I kid you not, nobody has seen or heard from her in about 7 years now. I even had one of her friends reach out to me. Now, me and her don't know each other, but she saw we had a mutual friendship through Facebook, asking have I seen or heard from her. So, I mean, it's real out there. And it's getting to the point that even though something sounds outrageous, we got to start, I won't say believing it right away, but maybe perhaps trying to get help for the person that's there, that's in that situation. Because if we don't know somebody that's been trafficked, we do know somebody that has been SA'd in some type of way or form. So I don't know. It's crazy. The more I see about Allie Carter, I can't say her name. Allie Carter's story is insane, and I'm impressed that she's a functioning human being, especially the stuff I read from her affidavit and other interviews I've seen from her. And that's truly a strong woman there. And again, it's getting to the point that these people who are coming out with these allegations, I can understand why they waited until somebody like Diddy was in police custody. Well, she didn't. She was talking about this way before, and same thing with Jaguar. But a lot of these people, I can wait until Diddy was in police custody, because if he's free and he was close to, I think he hit the official billionaire mark. He was very close to it. He was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Either way, he could pay influence people to do a lot of stuff to you or just harass you. So I understand that sometimes you're just like, you know what, I just try to live my life and move on. But then you see this man starting to go down. You want to get justice for yourself and for other people. So, and here's the thing. If I'm being really honest when it comes to this whole entire Diddy situation, with the amount of people, if you just go online and see Diddy partying with, do you really think that he will make it a trial? So all those details will come out. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Anyways, if you watch, like, comment, and subscribe, I appreciate you. Have a great day.